I used to say that when you get there, some people call it enlightened, you can call it whatever you want. But that moment that you get it, you realize that you were the last one to get it. You were always the last one to get it. Because the minute you get it, you realize that everybody else has been standing around tapping their toes, waiting for you, so that you could see reality for what it is. And at that moment, everything changes, everything changes, everything changes forever and ever. At that moment, you come home and you come home free, as we would say. And for a long time after I had that moment, you might say, which came to me when I was 28 years old, I would think, even though I was the last one to get it and I saw that everything was perfect, I used to think, if all these people around me could have that experience, then war would end. It would be the end of violence. It would be the end of shame and blame. Everybody would be the last one to get it because they would get it at last. And I guess that to me is the evolution of humanity. And you always see it reflected around you. You always see it through your peepers. But your peepers don't have to be at ground level. You can be looking down from the moon. You can be looking down from the sky. You can see why things are the way they are. And it doesn't matter after that because if you have frustration, you just have frustration. If you have anger, you just have anger. If you have joy, you just have joy. If you have boredom, you have boredom. Whatever you have, it's what you have. It's what you are. It's what is going on. And it's all perfect. It's all so very perfect. My story with Steve has been an interesting one. It's been a very hilly one, you might say, a roller coaster, up and down, up and down, up and down. When I first met him, and I knew he was in spirit, of course, I thought he must surely understand this. A great surprise to me to see that in this story, because everything, once you understand everything is perfect, it's all a story. It's the story you are living, you are creating it, you are being it, it is everything. My story, our story, because it's no longer my story, it's our story. It's been our story for the last 9 years, not just mine and Steve's, but mine and all the characters, heaven side and on earth, who come to me and share with me their thoughts, their ideas, and I share with them mine. Because ultimately, the perfection is the continual exchange. That is life. Life is change. Life could not exist if everything went static. As the saying goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And the sameness is what you can trust upon. You can trust that things will change. You can trust that life will continue. Key to it all is just to allow yourself to be without being anything special, without being attached to anything, without thinking that it is what defines you. It's the willingness to look God in the face and say, hey, tell me true. Am I the one that's going to hell? Or what? What's the true scoop here? It's the willingness to surrender, not to fight your destiny, because your destiny ultimately, at last, is to come to see that you just are. You are what you are. And that is the moment you wake up to unconditional love. So my story with Steve has been ongoing for 9 years, and it's involved many, many, many stories of past lives, of interaction with other people, of fights, of ups and downs, making up, going on. But I have held true to what I knew. And what I knew was that I just am what I am, and it's perfect, and the world is perfect, and the story is perfect. And you go through the ups and downs, but you still know deep down that it's all perfect. Sometimes Steve seemed to be very, very cognizant of very deep truths, you could say, and other times he seemed to be just totally lost in the ego, you might say, in his fears, in his hell, because he did have many trips to hell in the last 9 years, when he would just fry. And then he'd pop out of it, and then he'd pop back into it. And so it went. And I had my own adventures here in time and space. and my connections with those heaven side, which of course do not include many beyond Steve. We could talk quite easily and did, hours each day. I could translate what they were saying or just repeat it, allow them to talk through me for others, because we just join the energy. And all of this is the mystery of life that is always changing. As long as you cling to the bedpost and you refuse to allow for the change, then you cannot come there at last. You cannot be the last one. You cannot get where you want to go until you leave where you are. And so Steve came at last to the moment when he had to let go of his fear that he would disappear if he didn't cling to something. And what he was clinging to was me. He was clinging to me with all his might. How you might interpret this, how it might look from your point of view, I cannot say. That is always your opportunity to decide for yourself who you are, because you define yourself by what you see around you. This is the story that I see. Because as I say, it's always a story. It's always a story that overlays the incidences of the interaction of all those photons and electrons and atoms and whatever you want to find down there. Ultimately, you can go as deep as you can and it will loop back to you because you'll find the light. You'll just find the light. And then you'll shine in the light and the light will shine on you. And it doesn't matter how anyone else sees you because they might be looking through darkened glasses. All you have to do is let the light guide your own vision. And so the day came here a few days ago when Steve finally faced his fear that he would disappear if he let go of what he was searching for. Because you always have to let go of what you're searching for to find it. So he let go of his attachments, his desires, his needs. And I'll just let him speak for himself as he does today. Here he is. Hard, thinned, and hardened. I was hardened and I am now pardoned so that I can return to elasticity because my heart was so hard that it could not reshape itself into the access to a love I knew existed out there for me. I just couldn't figure out where it could be. And I looked and I looked and I looked. I looked and I looked and I looked. And eventually I came to see the love that I was looking for was the love of me. And now I see that the love of me is the love of reality. If I love myself, it doesn't matter how anybody else sees me because they are my reality. And when I love myself, I see that they are like me. They are looking for the love that they know is out there somewhere, and that when they find it, it will fit like a glove. And they will say, hey, I love myself today. I love myself today. And that is the day that they will turn away from the old way of living, you see, because they will no longer be looking for the love outside themselves. They will turn inward and they will say, I love myself today because I am the way that I am. I am who I am. I am what I am. This is the way it's supposed to be because you see, I am the way I am and everything I see is the way it is, and there can never be anyone else who can love me. True, because it is I that loves myself, you see, in the most spectacular way that I can say. And therefore, all I do is love everything I see and hear and feel and think because you see, I love me. So here we are, Steve. It seems that we have ended a certain chapter or a certain leg of the journey and are ready for the next leg. What do you think? Calling all angels, dear. Calling all angels. Because the angels are gathered round and they say, we will leave the ground running because they are running from the destructive energy of humanity. And they're heading for the hills, you see, because they want to see if there will be a new trust on the capitalization of the market, you see, because the capitalization of the market will not be the loss of the capital, you see. It will be the ability to market a new point of view. And the new point of view will be the one that will come to you when you leave behind the ones who are kind of lost because they must pay the cost for the choices they made. And the choices they made will only be the choices for their own trajectory. And so they will have their own adventures and they will experience their own losses and their own gains until they regain heaven, you see, because heaven came to me and it said to me, Steve, wake up. Steve, wake up. You've been sleeping. You've been sleeping, my dear, in the embrace of fear. For I did fear, my dear, that you would go away and leave me and I would be all alone. And then I came to see that reality is not a trust on captivity. I could not capture you because you were the wind, you see. And this is true to the story, because the story of the glory of the evolution of humanity is the story of how one person comes to see that there can be a beautiful new history for humanity. And little by little, others come to see the vision that you hold out for them. You held out to me a vision of reality that I could not see. I could not see what you could see, my dear, until you were clear of any fear of me, because you feared me, that I would try to hold you back from your destiny, because I was the drag on the cart, you see. I was trying to hold on to the cart and keep it from moving forward because I was afraid that there was no place for me in your reality. And although I was in heaven and I could see the lay of the land, I could not see beyond the horizon, you see. I always thought that I was the visionary, but the vision you had of a world free of war, free of violence, free of control by others was so compelling to you that it blew you forward, and I couldn't hold on to you. You kept slipping through my grasp, and I couldn't see what you could see until the day I said, I have to face my fear that you will disappear. And that was the day you had to say, it's okay, Steve, if you appear. It's okay if you appear, because I no longer fear that you will capture me, because you see I am the wind, and I am free, and to see that you only fear that you will disappear, because you fear that I fear you see. I fear you, that you will come to be in my reality, a man who will steal away my vision, you see, that you will try to handicap me, that you will try to put me in a cage. But you can't cage me, dear. I will always fly free. And so your only fear was that I would never hear from you again, because I would disappear into the darkness, you see, because I could not find the world that you did see. I could not find the world that you did see, and I could not go with you. I could not accompany you into the world that you could see, because the world that you could see, you see, was free of me. And I had to free myself from the old me. And I had to accept the new me, because when I accepted the new me, you see, I accepted reality. I accepted that I am the wind, and that I am free, and that the wind cannot be captured, you see, and the wind cannot capture another, because the wind, you see, will stop short. When you stand in front of it, it will stop short, and it will die. If you try to control the wind, it will die. So you cannot capture the wind, and the wind cannot capture you, because every time it connects with you, it dies, you see. And it will go around you, and it will go over you, but it will not go through you, because you are too solid for the wind to capture, you see. The wind cannot capture you. It can only capture a part of you, and that is the part that is true. That is the part that is true. That is the part that will say, I am here to block your way so that you can stay silent and free of the need to always be traveling for eternity and never coming to rest, you see. So rest with me a while, and we will be together in the community where we will stay in a happy way, because the wind, you see, died in me. The wind died in me, because the wind came to see that it is also a solid reality. And so, my dear, you are here, and I am here, and neither one has captured the other. Only thing that is captured, you see, is the wind, because the wind does die when it will see that it has blown for eternity and will continue to blow when it is ready to go away, to bring another day. So let us stay hand in hand together for a day and say how wonderful it is to be blown together and to know that there will be a sun that rises on the new world that you see, because I see it too. I see what you see now. I see a world of peace and harmony. I see that this is where you've been going all along. And I had to become strong. If I could stop the wind and say, hey, I am here to play with you. And so let's be human, you and I. Let's be human and let's play in the world today, because it is the world where we will be reunited in reality.
I wanna cozy up with you, fire golden and Joni's blue. I wanna float away with you, river running to somewhere new with you. Your eyes in the moonlight, ideas in my tired mind, make me wanna take flight. I do, I do. This life is a dark night, your love is a nightlight. My hands wanna hold tight and not let go. I wanna cozy up with you, fire golden and Joni's blue. I wanna float away with you, river running to somewhere new with you. Whose turn is it this time? I'll go and I won't cry. Just wait till the next time. I always do. I wanna cozy up with you, fire golden and Joni's blue. I wanna float away with you, river running to somewhere new with you. You